Travel guidance, domestic travelers are no longer required to quarantine or test out within the 90 days of full vaccination. International travelers, you have to continue to follow the CDC quarantine guidelines. Gathering limits, we're going to change. And let me go to Rob, who's done a lot of work.
Look at this. Gathering, social gatherings, all of a sudden, all opening up. Now, what happened, as I told you, we were suing him. We were fighting him on this. It doesn't make any sense. Talking about outdoors, the amazing comedy club Stand Up New York, run by co-owner is Donnie Zolden. We were literally suing him and saying, you gotta stop this. You can't. We're now having to do outdoor stuff. What's going on? You heard me last week yelling about weddings. He's blocking off weddings and such. Now it's all changing. Enough people got upset. It's finally changing.
So beginning March 22nd, for residential gatherings, the indoor limit remains the same. The outdoor limit goes from 10 to 25.
So still in your house in New York State, for those who don't live in New York State, this may blow your mind, but you're not supposed to have more than 10 people in your house. Yeah. Yep. So say you have multiple people living in your home. You've got your grandma, grandpa, mom and dad, and 7 kids total. One's got to go. Sorry, one's got to go. So we throw grandma out. I don't know. One of them got to go. The youngest baby, throw them out. Whatever. One's got to go. If they're cute, someone will pick them up on the street, I guess. But you got to get rid of one of them, right? Outdoor, in your yard. Doesn't matter how big your yard is, how small your yard is. 25 people. I have a tiny yard. 25 people in my yard. We're dancing, basically. We're slow dancing. That's my yard. That's how small my yard is. But he doesn't care. None of this makes any sense.
Outdoor, which is consistent with some of the states around us. The social gathering limit for public spaces, on indoor events goes from 50 to 100.
There we go, 100 people.
And then for outdoor events, it will go from 50 to 200.
And I bet that's science. Can you show me the science and the formula that you did that you went? I'm sure you found like you probably had a couple scientists and actuaries come in and figure out that number for science, or to just pull that number literally out of your, and come that number. That's what I think you did. Yeah, she did.
So all of those will still also require social distancing as well as mask requirements.
So we got to have masks outside now too.
April 2nd, we've started with opening large event spaces, which was 10,000 or more for arenas, starting with the Buffalo Bills. Subsequent to that, last night, the Rangers had a couple of thousand people at their game.
Look at how we're allowing all this stuff, and everyone's like, okay, that's fine. Allow this. Here is where we actually won. And I'm going to spend a couple seconds on this because we won this. We put enough pressure on him that he had to do something. And he's now reopened. At least before, if you were an arts and entertainment venue, you couldn't open up. You couldn't open up, and you couldn't even apply for the PPE because you couldn't get the Save Our Stages. So you were completely screwed if you were a venue, an arts and entertainment venue. You were totally screwed. We put pressure on him. All of a sudden, he got a lawsuit. All of a sudden, he got people talking about this, and he went, fine. We'll give you 33%. Am I happy about 33%? No, I'm not. To be honest, I'm not. Am I satisfied that at least now some venues can survive and pay their rent? I am. I'm satisfied because I don't want to be the jerk that says I need all of it and then people go out of business. I don't have a venue. I'm trying to support people who have venues. And New York, without question, New York City needs culture to survive. Arts, entertainment, comedy, dance, all that stuff is critical for New York City to survive. So I'm very happy at least he's opening up. Look, His Majesty, he is a generous God. I say it often, generous God, as he allows us to open up and go
last Saturday,
be social.
Also held a basketball game using those guidelines that we got from the Buffalo Bills.
Yep.
So following from that, for event spaces that are less than 10,000, those can begin reopening at 33% capacity.
And I'm wondering, again, he said science. Where's the thing? Where's the science and the formula that you came up with this? There's no formula. You had 3 or 4 people talk to them and go, what do you think they'll deal with? Would they accept 30%? They would. Let's go with that. That's all there is. There's no science here.
100 people indoors.
No science
and
here.
again, 200 people outdoors. Again, there still will be guidance for social distancing and masks. If we want to go above those limits,
Tell me what I have
we
to
can
do.
go up to 150 people indoor with testing requirements for
Testing
going
requirements.
from 100
Oh,
to
that's the
150.
next thing.
And then for outdoor events, up to 500 people outdoors.
The testing just coming up. Here we go.
with Testing. And again, social distancing and face covering will be required.
For
by
at least another year.
all of the attendees.
Of course.
Can you please mention the Empire Pass program?
So on the Empire Pass program, so
Oh my
we,
God. Here it is.
have an app that we have been working with IBM.
So New York State is creating this app. New York State is creating an app. New York State is working with IBM, which means if you're a New Yorker, this is your tax dollars going to IBM to make an app to control us. I'm not joking. I'll be clear about this. You are paying to be controlled. Now, would IBM make it without us having to pay tax dollars? Probably. Would we have a better app? Yeah, because others would be trying to do it also. They'd be competing to get the best app. Yeah, but that's not how New York State works. New York State said, well, people don't have, they don't have enough entertainment. So New York City decided to start doing entertainment. Why? Well, we don't have hand sanitizer. So New York State makes hand sanitizer. Well, now we don't have an app. So New York State makes an app. All we do is invoke government monopoly. Invoke government monopoly. Taxpayers are paying dollars for this. Our budget is broken. So he thought our budget being broke, you know what we should do? Spend money on an app. That's a good idea. Let's do that. Our budget's broken. Let's spend money on an app.
On that app, when you get tested, if with your consent, the results of that test will be reported automatically to the app.
So when you get tested, your results get reported, right, with your consent. Okay, what if you don't consent? Do they get reported? Anonymously or not reported at all? And if they don't get reported at all, why did my tax dollars go to something I'm not going to use again? If I can say no. And then once we have the Empire Pass, which is going to be the special pass, isn't basically almost every venue going to use it? So that now, because you're going to say testing requirements, so now aren't you by default making us have to put our name and consent, or we just can't hang out in places anymore? So I can't go to a hockey game or a baseball game or a football game or a basketball game unless I consent to the app. That's the future. Taxpayer dollars at work, monopoly owning all our information. What could go wrong?
And then you can then show proof of a negative test upon entrance to any of these events that require testing.
Oh, there we go.
Has been tested right now, both at Barclays and at Madison Square Garden. And those tests have been successful.
There we go.
So once we get the approvals, the app will be available for
Look at that.
download on both platforms on Google.
And New York State. It's a New York State app. Like Facebook isn't bad enough. Like YouTube isn't bad enough. Twitter's not bad enough. Now the Empire State has its own way of collecting more data on you. And I'm sure the cybersecurity is perfect. I'm sure there'd be no problem with that at all, right? Law enforcement wouldn't use that to decide who they think is an anti-vaxxer and go after them, would they? I bet that would never happen.
And Apple platforms people to download to their smartphones. And that will allow someone to show the result of their test, whether it be a PCR test, which will be valid for up to 72 hours, or a rapid test, which will be valid for 6 hours.
Look at that.
In addition, though, if you don't want to use an app, you will be able to download a paper result of your test that you can then print out and use that to demonstrate your negative test.
To demonstrate you've done exactly as you're supposed to do. You have done what we have ordered. Literally, wow, your papers. Oh, you want to go to this area? Where are your papers? Yes, this we become. That's what yesterday I was talking about how if you now come in, if you fly into New York City, literally people with uniforms and guns move you around to ensure you fill out your paperwork. That's what actually happens in New York City now, and most of New York. What happens now? Yes, now this.